On the outer rim of the Orion Spur, where isolated colonies clung to life like stubborn weeds, the world of Carathuan thrived under harsh suns. Its red deserts and cobalt mountains forged hard people, warriors, traders, and mercenaries. Among them lived Alarie Vess, a respected officer of the Carathuan Defense Order, known for her discipline, precision, and unwavering loyalty to her clan. She had survived skirmishes with pirates, border raiders, and even the fringe horrors that lurked in the unknown reaches. Few things frightened her. Yet nothing unsettled her more than the quiet human who arrived from Earth, looking for work in anonymity. His name was Elias Ward, a lean, unassuming man with dark hair and steady gray eyes. When he first stepped into the bustling bazaar of the capital city, he looked as though the weight of the galaxy rested on his shoulders. He said little. He smiled even less. But when Alarie encountered him during a supply inspection, she noticed something different. A stillness, as if he held his breath not out of fear, but restraint. Humans were newcomers to the wider galaxy, still whispered about as the strange people from a dangerous cradle world. Deathworlders, some called them, beings who evolved among predators, toxins, and relentless environmental chaos. But Alarie had never believed the stories. That changed when she spent time with Elias. He worked quietly in the Defense Order archives, repairing damaged drones and restoring outdated data systems. He avoided conflict, always lowering his gaze when tempers flared. Yet Alarie sensed depth beneath the silence, a history that refused to loosen its grip. The two began speaking during late shifts. Elias listened more than he spoke, but when he did speak, his voice carried care. He offered insights about machines, about old Earth philosophies, about learning to breathe through pain. Alarie admired that calm. In her world of clashing swords and competing clans, peace felt like a distant dream. Months passed. Friendship turned to trust. Trust grew into a bond neither expected. They married in the quiet courtyard of the Defense Temple, beneath crimson banners and starlight. The ceremony was simple, but Alarie cherished every moment, especially the way Elias's hand trembled when he touched her cheek, as though he feared she might vanish. Life became routine and warm. Alarie went to training and patrols. Elias repaired systems and hummed soft melodies under his breath. They shared stories at night, hers of battlefields and clan politics, his of forests, rain, and abandoned cities filled with echoes of humanity's past. But even in marriage, he never spoke of why he left Earth, nor why he refused to touch the ceremonial blades gifted to him at their union. Humans were known for weapons, yet Elias recoiled from them. Alarie respected his silence. Until the day the sky burned. The warning sirens howled through the capital as vessels with jagged hulls tore through orbit. The Vreeth Corsairs, a ruthless raider fleet, descended upon the world like vultures sensing blood. Alarie rushed to the command center, issuing orders, coordinating defense lines, preparing to stand as she always had. Elias stayed behind, promising safety within the reinforced civilian shelter. But the Corsairs came harder than expected. Their plasma bombardment punched through defensive barriers. Soldiers fell in the streets. The Order scrambled, barely holding the capital's heart. Even Alarie, hardened by battle, felt cold dread as reports streamed in. The Corsairs were searching for something. Or someone. By nightfall, the situation worsened. Communications flickered, energy shields collapsed, and Corsair captains marched boldly through broken gates. Whispers spread like wildfire. They want the human. The quiet one. Ward. Alarie froze when she heard it. Her mind raced. Elias? Why? She abandoned her post and sprinted through debris-strewn streets, her armor scorched from stray blasts. She reached the civilian shelter, only to find Corsair mercenaries already inside, spreading terror while dragging hostages. And there, in the middle of panicked civilians, stood Elias, calm, motionless, hands raised as if protecting everyone behind him. The Corsair captain sneered, mandibles clicking. Elias Ward, the Blade of Soul, the Ghost of Titan. You thought you could hide from us forever. Allery felt the ground shift beneath her. The titles were legendary. Rumors in military academies, stories told in quiet bars about a human warrior who once stood alone against horrors in the ice fields of Saturn's moon. A man who wielded a monomolecular blade with impossible precision. A Deathworld legend. Elias had never told her. She stepped forward, voice breaking. Elias, what are they talking about? He looked at her, not with fear but with sorrow. I wanted peace, Allery. I tried to put the blade away. The Corsair captain laughed and drew a crackling plasma halberd. But peace is not for monsters like us, human. Something in Elias shifted. His shoulders straightened. His eyes sharpened like steel. He reached down, not to attack, but to unfasten the ceremonial sheath at his side. The one he had never opened since their wedding. The sheath clicked. A whisper of metal sang through the air. Allery's breath caught as the blade emerged. Black as the void, edges shimmering with micro-vibrations. It was a weapon crafted on old Earth, forged from materials extinct across the stars. A sword not of glory but of necessity. Elias spoke softly, so softly Allery barely heard him. Peace ends when you threaten what I love. Then he moved. The battle that followed was a blur. Elias darted through the Corsairs with movements honed by years of survival on a death world. His blade cut through armor like silk, deflecting plasma bursts with impossible accuracy. Every strike was measured. No wasted motion, no needless brutality. Allery joined him, her training blending with his lethal ballet. Together they were unstoppable. Human resilience fused with Carathuan discipline. Hostages escaped behind them while the Corsairs fell, one by one, until only silence remained. When the last mercenary dropped, Elias stood trembling, not from fear, but from the weight of returning to a past he had tried to bury. Allery approached gently, resting her forehead against his. I married a quiet human, she whispered. But I see now that quiet does not mean weak. You carry storms inside. Elias closed his eyes. I never wanted you to see this part of me. But I needed to, she replied. Because we face the future together. Not by hiding our scars but by sharing them. The aftermath shook the planet. Word spread of the human warrior who unsheathed his blade once more. Not as a conqueror, but as a protector. The Corsairs retreated into the void, wary of returning. Diplomats and generals demanded audiences with Elias, yet he declined them all. He returned to his quiet work in the archives, yet something had changed. Now, when the soldiers trained in the courtyard, Elias stood beside Allery, teaching them balance, breathing, awareness. Not to forge killers but defenders. The legend of the Blade of Soul transformed, not a tale of violence but of restraint and purpose. Sometimes Allery caught him staring at the horizon, expression distant. She knew he wrestled with the burden of what he'd done, of who he had been. But she also knew this. He was not alone anymore. One evening as warm light bathed the city, Allery asked softly, Will you keep the blade? Elias looked at the sheathed weapon resting on their mantle. "Only if needed," he answered. "Peace is the life I choose. But if darkness comes again, I won't hesitate." She took his hand, gripping it firmly. "Nor will I." Emerald banners fluttered overhead as the planet rebuilt. The legend spread through the rim, of a warrior who sought peace, a commander who believed in him, and a blade kept sheathed until love demanded otherwise. And so began a new chapter in the Deathworld legends, not of conquest, but of unity forged in silence, shaped by courage and sealed by a promise. Peace until the blade must speak again.